What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be taking a look at a title called Starcom Unknown Space. This is one of those titles that I've had the pleasure of covering a couple times in the past, and it is the creation of a single developer who's just been mashing away at it by himself, trying to make a super fun space sandbox that everybody will enjoy. So today we're going to dive on in, take a look at the game for about 30 minutes and see if it's something you wanted to add to your wish list, or if it's one of those games that you just don't find to be compelling. That's also a perfectly fine option as well. I will likely be streaming this game on the day that this video goes live so that you can get a deeper look at it, because this game is a slow burner. We'll probably just pick it up from this save that I'm on right here, and I'll fill you guys in on the gory details of the storyline if and where I can, but for the moment, the link to the game is down below in the description. The reason why we're covering it once more is because the game is done. The developer emailed this morning and said that the build that's up right now is basically the 1.0 version. There's pretty much only like minor bug fixes and things like that to be done, and so it's time for us to check out the game. The link is down below if you wanted to check it out on your own free time. From there, you can also take a look down below and you can find a link to my Discord, my Twitch stream, all that kind of stuff, just in case you wanted to hook up and hang out live on any given day of the week. So let's dive on into it. What is Starcom Unknown Space? Starcom Unknown Space is actually probably one of the closest things we're going to get to a Star Trek game out here in existence. This game sort of eschews the like I'm showing you combat right now, and I realize the irony of showing you combat while I'm saying that the game sort of eschews combat. But this is not a super combat-heavy game. There will be combat sections of the game, but the vast majority of this game is going to be spent by the players sort of exploring and doing surveys of planets and doing diplomacy with alien races and stuff like that. It's a lot like Starfleet in that regard. Ooh, did I just lose one of my guns? I might have just lost one of my guns up off the front of the ship. And I actually think that that's sort of a contemplative take on space exploration and also space Federation-style games and shipbuilding games that we don't really get to see. The vast majority of games that take place in a genre like this tend to be very, very combat-heavy, just to hold the player's attention. This game, it tries to go in a different direction by building sort of these narrative paths that you'll stumble upon while you're exploring throughout the galaxy. It's also a game that's very much about show, don't tell, and so you'll learn about the galaxy by gathering clues, but a lot of the time, the game is not explicitly going to be like, this is what you should do next. Like, if you're looking around a star system and you're getting into a lot of combat, chances are there's probably bad guys in the area. If you survey a number of planets and you're seeing a lot of manufacturing facilities and stuff like that, along with the flotilla that's there, chances are they probably have a base in the area. Frequently when you're surveying these planets right here, which, by the way, this game has some of the most gorgeous environmental design that I've ever seen in a game. Some of the planets and some of the things that you can interact with are just utterly incredible. I gotta wait for my armor to come back. Armor's nice and restored, but the planets themselves are kind of clues as to what's going on inside each system, because in the main narrative storyline of the game, you're in sort of like this Starfleet-like Earth organization that's trying to do space exploration. You accidentally open up the first wormhole that humanity's ever pulled out, and the second that wormhole opens, a giant army floods through it and wipes everything out. All of your ships get sucked into the wormhole. You're spread out throughout the galaxy, and now you're trying to find your way back home, while also doing as much scientific exploration and research as possible in order to bolster your chances of making it on back through. And every system you get to is uncharted territory where you're trying to figure out exactly what happened here, and sometimes from the clues, it can paint a pretty vivid tale, and that's how the whole game kind of arranges itself. It tends to prefer to be immersive rather than just like telling you straight up what happened in an area. We gotta take this guy from the side. His cannons are going to be very, very stingy. Like, I can deal... He's got front-facing cannons on this big guy right here. At the moment, I found this star system that's occupied by, like, a multi-space race fleet that are like a psychotic murder cult that just want to, like, kill everybody and then convert them, or convert them, then kill them. They don't really care which way it goes. I'm low on energy right now. Let's cut off the boosters. He is very much on fire right now, though, dude. If I can just keep up with this guy... Hey, there it is, and we splashed him. And so I'm trying to get to the bottom of what's going on these murder planets that this cult is running over here. This is kind of one of those areas that the game never told me to go to. I just kind of saw it on scanners and free roamed my way on over here and then was summarily attacked. And I thought to myself, for the opening of a video, we always like to open on a little bit of action so people can see what that looks like. But if I can wipe these dudes out and figure out what's going on inside of this system and maybe shut down their production, that'd be fantastic. It's also a good idea for me to get some currency and whatnot because I'm a little bit broke at the moment and I can't afford to keep upgrading my ship. Let's scan this planet. We've earned it. We fought our way all the way to it. And we will deploy a survey team to this planet to see what we find here. The anomaly turns out to be an unusually high bauxite deposit embedded in an exposed cliff face. The lander's refiner is able to extract a modest amount of aluminum. Very nice. Aluminum's kind of like a baseline material that you need for just about everything in this game. This game also has a cryptic economy. The economy, it functions entirely off of metal ingots. In this game, there is no money, there are no credits, because there's probably like 5 or 6 races that I've seen so far in the galaxy, and everybody values something more than everybody else. So certain races really like aluminum, and so they place like a huge value on aluminum. Some factions prefer copper, some factions prefer to trade in silver. It just kind of depends, and then from there you've got to work it all together. There are translator upgrades that you can get for your ship that allow you to get a rough idea of what the unit value of an item is as you work your way throughout the galaxy. But the entire trade system... Oh, there's more of them. What's up, boys? They jumped in on me. They really want the smoke out here. Well, I'm built for the smoke, so you can catch it right this second. I'm not as maneuverable as I would like to be. The problem with their ships is that they put the cockpit like right up at the front, and in this game if you destroy the cockpit the ship dies instantly, and so they've made it very, very easy for me to kill the meat and save the metal. Downside is my ship is very much on fire right now, which in the vacuum of space is honestly impressive. If you can light a fire in the absence of anything, you can light a fire anywhere. This planet is presently undergoing an oxygen catastrophe that will wipe out 99% of its anaerobic life. Interesting. An oxidation event. My geology brain is humming right there. Normally, oxygen is a good thing for the development of species, but I guess if everything there developed in an anoxic environment, it probably wouldn't deal with that too well. Maybe they're like iron-based life forms that hadn't been exposed to oxygen? I don't know, it's a strange one. That's a weird one to think about. I guess they could be silicon-based too, because oxygen readily bonds with silicon as well. Could be a number of things, actually. Copper oxidizes, too. They could be kind of like, maybe they're like Spock and they've got that copper blood. The size of the galaxy, you can take a look at it here and see how much exploration there is to do. We just went through a slip gate. There's slip gates around, and there's also jump gates around. Jump gates are the way that you fast travel throughout the galaxy. In the last 4 hours or so of playing the game, this is as far as I've been. These are not self-contained nebula. In star systems, you can manually fly out into the void if you want, and the game gives you a speed multiplier because you're not near any gravity wells to explore those areas. There are things out here. I would highly recommend looking around because there are definitely things that you can find on the in-between transit. Every now and again, it's really worth it in this game. You see that little tiny object right there? If you jumped over to here and you just explored this area, you would never see that right there. But because I flew this way manually the first time to unlock the jump gate, I ran into it. And it seems like that's taken into account with a lot of the galaxy design, is that it seems like the developer looked and was like, where are the likely places that someone's going to try to slow boat from? And 2 other areas, and it seems like he put things all along that candy trail, which is a very astute observation because I found everything from derelict ships that I can salvage, I found ancient alien artifacts, I found all kinds of goodies out there in the vacuum of space. For this area right here where we just landed, it doesn't look like there's hostiles in this area, but we do have 2 branching jump gates over here that are going to allow me to explore. In my missions log, you do get like a full UI here. I've got a bunch of, well, actually, I've only got a couple missions right now, actually. I finished the other ones. So I've got to build a guided missile, which I can find inside my cargo. I had to find different parts. So as you go through the game, it's not going to be like an action RPG, but enemies frequently outside of resources will occasionally drop artifacts. These artifacts are usually breadcrumb trails that will lead you to other areas where you will pick up quests or branching quests, or they can be alien technology that you can put together. So, for example, I found a gun mount, an accelerator, and a barrel, and I put that together, and it unlocked an entire tier of plasma thrower upgrades inside my research log. This missile warhead right here, if I analyze it with my science department, that'll be the final piece that I need in order to start assembling and upgrading missile launchers, which are the specialty of that murder cult that lives out here in space. It also looks like we found a number of their databases, so I should probably scan those too. Amber Jewel is awoken, illuminating the old text and revealing the chariot's designs to us. Prepare the missionaries. There's also a lot of obtuse mathematical formulae. Okay, what does this one say? Databank on a program to locate a whirlpool. Whirlpool is apparently what the devout call wormholes. They were using something called whispers to try to locate a specific one. Interesting. So this is a galaxy that falls back on that old trope where there was like old ones or engineers. There was a precursor race that lived in the galaxy. They built all of these slip gates and they built all of these jump gates. And one of the plot hole, or I'm not one of the plot holes, one of the plot hooks, there we go. Both words started with H-O. One of the plot hooks of the game is that when you get thrown into this unknown area, one of the first things you find seems to be some kind of database key that turns these things back on. And so now you're kind of like the bell and the ball in the galaxy. Oh, it's Whisk-a-Mug. Whisk-a-Mug is a legendary bounty hunter who flies throughout the galaxy. He's a legendary walrus bounty hunter, all right? All of the races have really cool portraits. I've liked their design all the way through. It looks like he just wants to trade with me, and this race, I guess, likes to trade in yttrium. And we can take a look over here for buying and selling prices. It looks like he's selling platinum at a really, really, really good... Or no, he's buying platinum at a good price. Yeah, so we can sell platinum to him at a good price right there. Is he selling anything else below margin? He's selling aluminum below margin, so you can flip and trade in this game if you want. But because the game is very much an old school game, a lot of things do not get marked on the map by default. So you've got to kind of memorize where they're at. So I started out inside this little system over here, and if we jump all the way up to this area, I know that this planet right here has a race of like bug aliens on it that like to trade for aluminum, and they've also got an asteroid field over here where you can mine. It's not really like a fully fleshed out mechanic, the mining. It's mostly just you shooting rocks, and it acts as like a safety net to keep the player from getting too broke, because not only are you using your resources in this game to like buy artifacts and to trade for other things, you're also using them to build your ship. And so as you want your ship... Oh, let's see how good Whisk-a-Mug is at fighting, because we're under attack by the cult right now. I've never seen his ship go into... Oh my god. Wow. Okay, Whisk-a-Mug is actually about that business. So I met Whisk-a-Mug a little while back, just sort of emergently on accident. He was cruising through some system, and I hailed him and I talked to him. And through learning who he is, I started going to other space stations, and it opened up dialogue options with other alien races where you can ask about the legendary Whisk-a-Mug, and they all downplayed it. They all said that, like, you know, we don't know if he actually does the things that he says he does. He seems kind of like a blowhard. From what happened right there in that combat, I think he's actually about business. Let's go ahead and scan this planet real quick. We'll deploy the survey team very rapidly and see if we find anything worthwhile. The anomaly detected from orbit turns out to be a mild magnetic field generated by concentrated ferrous minerals. Not valuable in themselves. Sometimes they mark deposits of things that are more valuable. So every single one of your crew members, I haven't showed you the crew member layout yet, but you have crew members on your ship, and your crew members have departments and specialties just like in Star Trek, and as you survey planets they get XP and you can put points into their various skills. There's kind of a D&D style roll a D10 type system that you use to figure out what these challenges, whether or not you're going to be doing a good job or like what your chances are of succeeding out here. We'll go ahead and roll them. Ooh. Near the deposit's periphery ends, Perks notices chunks of bauxite, some of which are rich enough to allow easy aluminum extraction. It's a bummer that we only had like a 11% chance to succeed. You roll 2d10s, and the number that comes up here, plus the modifier for your crew member, is your chance to succeed. And so we did pretty poorly right now. Chances are there was probably a critical success that we could have done right there. Would have given us something much more valuable, like gold or adamantium or something like that, like a rare resource. But it's fine. There's an infinite supply of less valuable stuff on the map, and you can just trade and convert that into higher quality stuff at traders too. Anything on this little planetoid right here? No anomalies detected. Okay, well that leaves us with one final location that we've got to go to. I lost a couple crew in that gunfight we had in the last system, and so we don't want to get too low right there because crew dictate how effective your ship is. This planet right here is our last stop before we're done with the system, and we do have a survey site. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what we've got here. The debris from the Flinger Gateway is embedded in the desert dust. It's been stripped of technical components, but it was a rush job and resources were missed. They'll also, one thing I really like about this game is your crew members, based on their specialty, they'll add in context to things that you hear in dialogues. So if something specifically has to do with geology or biology, you will have your science department weigh in if they have enough skills. If you find something like this is my engineering department weighing in on it with their analysis. This would not pop up if we did not have engineering skill and we would just be left in the dark. And so it says there's marks on the structure from mounted thrusters. Somebody forced this thing to crash on the planet, maybe to break it up for salvaging. Yeah, it's that old storyline from Firefly where you've got those bandits that have that flinger gate and they've re-rigged it instead of flinging the ship to disassemble the ship. And like you fly into it thinking you're about to take like a trip to another part of the galaxy and instead get disintegrated, then they scoop up the remains. We do have a closer system, right? Two closer systems right there. This might actually be a good opportunity for exploration, which is one thing that I think this game does really, really well. Not to say it doesn't do other things well. I found the entire game to be well assembled. For a one-man project, there's a tremendous amount of care that's gone into the visual systems, the sound effects. Now you'll note that once we're getting away from the gravity well, we're picking up speed. Every star system has a gravity well, and when you're in between star systems, you get what's called the void effect. The void effect is a flat multiplier to your top-end speed because you're no longer having to calculate the navigational drives for any sort of interference or anything else like that. It's sort of a simulated, I guess, conceptualization of space travel, but planets and things do have gravity wells that affect your mobility. After you survey them, it calibrates your navigational system so that you take much less of a penalty by being near that stuff. Oh, there's an asteroid field out here. Maybe we will find another trade point. Sometimes there's little artifacts and things inside the asteroid fields too that we can find that'll expand our knowledge of the galaxy. So far, though, it doesn't look incredibly fertile. It looks like we're mostly getting titanium and aluminum, which are kind of like low value. No anomalies detected there, but I've learned something from this game, and it's where there's a planet with an asteroid belt near it, there's a mining operation for one space race or another. We may be able to trade ourselves into something nice. I just blast asteroids while I'm cruising around because it's like passive resource generation. However, there's also the distinct possibility that there's an ambush out here in the belt. So we'll kind of like wait and see and figure out what that's going to feel like. Oh. Okay. I don't know if we have a black hole or what we've got going right there. Unfortunately, my astrophysics and my astronomy are incredibly weak because I took chemistry instead of taking all that stuff for, like, my science things in college. I was a big fan of chemistry. I liked chemistry a lot. It's debris from yet another Flinger Gateway. That's not great. That means that somebody's got, like, an entire operation over here throwing people into the site of planets in order to salvage their remains. And I feel like it's probably only going to be a matter of time before we run into those people. This area is free of anomalies. Oh, and look at that. It's gone. It left. Interesting. There's another system up and to our right. I'm definitely intrigued and want to go investigate that too, because I just upgraded my long-range scan capabilities so that I can see further on out. The game doesn't give you like a scan ring or anything around your ship to let you know how far your scan range is, but it's long enough now that we uncovered this bad boy over here. Do yourself a favor, click this box when you first start playing the game. It makes anything that you haven't investigated yet blink, or anything of note blink. It makes it much easier to keep all this information underway. You can also add notes to stuff if you want. You can right-click on the map and add notes to various areas for things that you've seen. Very old school. I like it. I think it's pretty neat. And it looks like on scans we've got ourselves a gas giant. It looks like we've got a lunar planet. It looks like we've got a desert planet. We've got a terrestrial planet. Terrestrial planets are almost always inhabited in this game. I've found everything from, like, dead civilizations that only made it through the Bronze Age to fully technological, like, manufacturing facilities that needed to be sabotaged in order to keep the amount of bad guys in a system down. A ship just jumped into... Ooh, a CXTA hauler. I did a job for the CXTA. And so, is that a hauler too? Who are you? I don't recognize you. Who are you? What is this? A little starship all by its lonesome with no devout insignia. No Ermir escort. Your markings are of no faction that we recognize. Is there no one who protects you? Do not be afraid. We will make sure you're safe by us. Dude, this is like the first day of prison right now, dude. You are a new fish in the galaxy, and everybody is trying to, like, shake you down. Although a lot of the races have been friendly, I guess. Protection from what? It seems our universal translators inadvertently conveyed our message with subtle implication of threat. Such is the problem with these devices. Safe by us should have been translated as safe from us. The threat was meant to be explicit and unambiguous. Give us money or I'll hurt you. I apologize for that confusion. Can I outrun him, I wonder? Because gold is really valuable. Like, gold doesn't drop very often, and gold is for very specific parts of your ship that make you way more effective. So I really, really, really don't want to give him my gold. Refuse? How can you put such a low price on your own safety? Our scans have showed that you'll find a great deal more than 3 gold in salvage from your ship. Run! Flee! We've got to be faster than he is. Like, that's a big ship, so we've got to be quicker than he is. I don't know if I can take him, but, like... I need to talk to these guys, though. I did a job for them, and they told me I would get paid by the next CXTA hauler that we found. We delivered your medical supplies, and they transmitted confirmation of delivery. I've noted the CXTA network that the throne is a reliable carrier, and that I would make use of your services again. We got a good Yelp review! All right, these guys right here, despite their strange appearance and having biting mouths on the sides of their heads, they're actually pretty friendly. They're a race that has the universe's most developed logistical chains. And so they are like the Uber Eats of space, basically. If you need something to go from one place to another, they will... I guess I could have called them Amazon. That would have been a little bit more flattering. If I bait this guy back, he is closing with us. Like, he definitely wants us. Will they help me in the fight? It's kind of hard to say. I'm going to save my game real fast, and we'll see if we can tangle with this guy. He's got that giant autocannon, though, that I've never been shot at by, and it made me scared. Okay, his aim is not incredible, but parts of him are coming off. Now, the disintegration of the ship is because in this title... Oh, my God in heaven, that hurt so much. I hated every moment of it. It looks like the CXTA is not going to jump in on this. However, if I can knock out an engine or two... that would make him a lot more manageable. The entire side of his ship is on fire right now, which is good for us. There goes his thruster. His main thruster, anyways. Ooh, dodge that one. I smelt the cordite on that one. I'm trying to time it on out right now, but he's definitely way better armored than we are. So this is going to be kind of like a dance of trying not to get hit by that cannon, because his normal particle weapons are not that dangerous. It's just the cannon that's a problem. We can soak the laser fire. That's no biggie. We can also run away because we've got him outmaneuvered, especially now that a couple of his engines have gone down, and a lot of the bad guys in this game do not have the repair capabilities that our ship has. Okay, maybe don't hold still. I was wrong. His lasers do indeed hurt. Oh, that hurt so much. I hated it. Okay, so it's that cannon on the left side then. That's what we got to watch out for. However, his bridge is almost toast. Let's pull back for a second. We're going to let our crew repair things. We lost another crewman right there, and so one of our crew died. But we're going to just kind of circle around him like a little tiny shark, taking on a much larger animal. And we're going to go in because he already dropped an artifact when we knocked a chunk off of him. I just got to wait for my deck crews to fix everything. Okay, repair crews are back online. Let's get back in here. We're going to want to target a lot of our fire towards their bridge, which is right there. I don't know how up-armored that bridge is, but if we can knock out the bridge, I will be very, very happy because he'll explode instantly. It may not be a terrible idea to get rid of that cannon on the other side either. Oh, and pop goes the weasel. We got him. A pretty good haul right there. What was that thing that we pulled out too? We got something in our cargo. A Brogadar chest. The chest lock is secured with a unique biometric encryption protocol. The encryption protocol is unbreakable. Fortunately, the chest is not. I just drilled out the lock and it gave us access to the Planetary survey log. Log shows landing on a particular oceanic planet, and I've logged the location on our map. An oceanic planet? Is it not in this system? There it is. It's back down here. So it's a planet that I think I actually already surveyed, or maybe it was a planet that didn't exist until we picked up that item. And this is really how the game keeps you going. You just discover weird little things around. The weird little things will flag a system. You will go to that system, you will investigate it, and then there will be like a storyline that you chase down, and there may be some twists and turns in there. And I find the Emergent approach to this game to be very, very intoxicating. I like it a lot. We have heard that the throne is now mentioned in the devout command, and not with fondness. We cannot afford their ire, but a purchaser has expressed strong interest in a delivery that carries risk. What's the delivery? We respect you enough to not torture the shrubbery. We want you to collect for us a data bank from a planet in devout space. We do not know or care what is on it, but the buyer will pay 100 silver for it. It is likely, then, that the devout would object to its transport. We divide the price equally. I have a lot of points in xenoculture because I figured it wouldn't be the worst idea to be really, really good at interacting with aliens, considering we are in hostile territory and we can't speak to anybody. And so I specialized very, very heavily in xenoculture because it was apparent to me inside the first hour of the game, there are no humans out here. I am like the last remaining remnant of a faction that doesn't exist. And there are aliens everywhere, so maybe learning about them and learning to make peace with them and understanding their customs would be a really good idea because my ship is badass, but it's not badass enough to take on the entire galaxy. Can't fault us for trying. Yours is the more difficult part. 70-30. Take or depart. Yeah, I'll take it. Very good. We'll transmit the coordinates of a vendor who has the item. Identifies yourselves with the phrase, "We have traveled long to take your limbs and eyes for our pleasure." That is not a very good passcode. If I say that to the wrong person, I'm going to end up in jail, bro. You're not allowed to say that to people. I mean, maybe you are in space. Maybe space is a little bit more loosey-goosey with the whole freedom of speech thing. So I figured here at the terminus of the video, because we're kind of getting, like, longer on in here. I try to keep things to, like, 30 minutes. I'll show you the ship customization so that you can see whether or not it blends with your idea of what you want to see in a space game. It's very similar to anything that you've played like Cosmoteer, except the modules are self-contained. You don't have to set up like crew routes or power grids or anything else like that. It's just drag and drop to build out your ship. So inside the shipyard, we can do a number of different things right now. I needed to research the... Well, anyways, 1 second. So in the shipyard, you can put in energy weapons. You've got different armor and deflector shapes and things like that that you can play around with, just in case that's to your liking. I've been having a lot of trouble sourcing iridium, so my first inclination here is to make the 70 silver from that quest, and I'm probably going to trade that. I haven't seen a whole lot of uses for... I think you need silver for... Yeah, I don't need silver for that. I don't need silver for a lot of things right now, and so... I do have titanium, so I can add more bulkheads to make us a little bit chunkier and maybe like hide some of our parts on the interior of the ship. That might not be a terrible idea, but you just drag and drop these things on in, and different things have different functions. So these are my lateral thrusters that make me turn faster. These right here are cannons, plasma batteries. I've got a electrical battery right here to store up the outputs from my micro reactors. I've got engines. These make you go faster. I've got a survey lander right here, which is how I can survey planets. You can play around with it, and it's pretty fun. You also generate a heat profile based on like how many things you put on in here, and then from there you get new parts by going to these research trees over here. There are quite a few things that will unlock. You've got a limit basically on the amount of tiles you can use to build your ship, and as you go forward, your making yourself larger and larger and larger. So right now I have the capability to be roughly the size of a frigate, if that's what I wanted to do, or maybe like a Corvette. And then cruiser hulls are up there, and we're not quite there yet. But everything from being able to paint your ship, to have more crew on board, to making your armor work better, to making your guns work better, to social things that make it easier for you to interact with your, alien neighbors. There's things over here that allow you to scan faster. They give you bonuses when you're on away missions. We've got new guns down here, so that's the fixed plasma gun that I was talking about. And so these fixed plasma guns would be good for setting up, I guess, broadsides. We've also got missiles down here, which we unlocked by interacting with the cult, because they're big missile users. Since missiles track, I'm actually okay with throwing a little bit of research at missiles for right now. You get research for just about everything you do in the galaxy, and then it would seem like we're about ready for a retrofit on our overall ship. It looks like I can add 12 more bulkheads here. And so really what I like to do is I just disassemble the whole thing by throwing out the parts. You get full refunds on anything that you get rid of, so don't stress about that. This is the sum total of all of the resources that I've managed to get over the course of my playthrough. Now, I know that I needed 2 micro-reactors, so put a micro-reactor right there and a micro-reactor right there. I'll probably nestle in a battery behind it. I'll probably keep it nice and even right there by adding a bulkhead on that side, but I'll probably mirror the batteries. You can also mirror things in this game, so you can build half the ship and then just mirror it to the other side if you want to. It's a very, very useful little tool that it told me about in like a tutorial pop-up somewhere, but I wasn't really paying attention. But I know some people will want to see that inside the confines of the game. Let's take that up to there, because I think there's a solid chance of that looking really good. What does that cost? Oh, it's iridium for those. I can't afford those just yet. The deflectors are a little bit much for me at the moment. Let's get 2 cannons on the front end for a little bit of plasma fire, just to light the enemy up and let them know that they're on notice. For all of these down here, though, I need neutronium, so it's going to be kind of difficult to even this thing out. And I'm one of those people that, like, has to have my ship looking good. And we can rotate those on in like that right there, I guess. Give it kind of like an angularity. And then just finish it off with a front-end deflector right there. I don't think I'll have enough iridium to even out the rest of the ship. But we've got like a nice little shape thing going on right now. A missile launcher is going to cost us uranium, so it looks like the missile launchers are actually nukes that we're firing at the enemy. So space nukes, that's extra fun. That explains why they deal so much damage. But we can't quite get there just yet, because I need to either go farm up uranium or I need to just get uranium and source it from somewhere. I have enough gold for a couple of thrusters. Let's put a lateral right here. We'll put a lateral right there just to give us a little bit more turn radius. She's not pretty, but I'm trying to put her together the best that I possibly can right now. With what I have available, this is kind of the best that I can do. We need engines, but it looks like I'm out of aluminum, so unfortunately we're not going to be able to get all the engines out here right now. You can save the ship designs if you want. They're kind of upset at the moment because I don't have a survey lander. But that's probably the best that I can do for the moment. And that got us kitted up a little bit better. We got a little bit more firepower out of our ship right here. She's not real pretty. Form factor isn't looking great. It definitely didn't come off of the Mercedes line, but it'll hold for right now. I also hate that gap from the missing thruster. I find that to be deeply upsetting, but Starcom Unknown Space, fantastic game made by a single guy that focuses heavily on exploration. It's a much slower game than a lot of the other games that you might be expecting to play here. But I do think that it fills a niche, particularly for fans of things like Star Trek, where you want to do a lot more diplomacy and you want to do a lot more trade, but you also want to investigate narrative storylines with a little bit of combat sprinkled on in there. And so far, I don't think that I've really found anything that upset me about the game. It seems to be pretty polished. It seems to be pretty put together. I haven't had any hitches, I haven't had any crashes, I haven't had any enemy ships bugging out. Everything on the technical front seems to be really good here. Everything on the presentational front seems to be really good. It's just a space game of a different focus. And honestly, a focus that gets pretty ignored. Like, exploration is folded into a lot of space games, but it's rarely the focus. It's kind of usually like a side thing that you do in order to, like, make money or do whatever else. Whereas in this game, it is integral to the storyline that you be exploring and surveying planets and interacting with aliens, because you never know what missions and prompts are going to come up from the simple conversations that you have with the denizens of the galaxy. And so I think the game is pretty cool, and I think it fills a niche. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block, we were fooling around with a little bit of Starcom Unknown Space. Tomorrow we will be doing something else. I will see you all then. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll catch y'all later. Bye, folks.